Hi crafty friends. I am so sorry this is taking me so long to finish up on this mini album or this project. I came up to our cottage for a couple weeks, and when I was up here over the weekend or this last week, it was so humid and it just kept raining and raining, so all the paper was getting so moist, and I was afraid that, well, I tried to cut some of it and it just started tearing, and then it needed a couple days to dry up as well. So I apologize for the delay. I apologize that I haven't gotten this done sooner, but we will get, I'm hoping I get everything done this evening. If not, then what we'll do is I'll just finish up maybe the very last bit in a very short video. So as you can kind of see from, I think you can see from my desk that there's a lot of things going on because I'm actually sitting at a kitchen table and I don't have necessarily all my craft storage items in place. And we are working on the Vintage Christmas, was the original book that I had done, and we're working now on oh my goodness, Birdsong is the book that or papers that I'm using for this this book. And I've done a couple things that are a little bit different in this book from the other one. You can always go through the walkthrough and see what was done on the first one. And these changes are only because I wanted to try something different, see how it looked. So since the last time we were together, I did some things that were fairly repetitive type of items that you didn't really need to watch me do. So I did add 2 of the ephemera pieces on the top of this waterfall piece, and I used some of the paper on there. And then one of the little tips that I wanted to talk to you about is I did do, where in this waterfall, the gusset and the ends, I just picked the paper that, you know, the colors moved or worked well for the waterfall. But what I wanted to show you was what I used is the actual strips from the bird walls paper that I had cut off. Like I talked about the other ones from the Vintage Christmas that I was going to use those and possibly make a paper for a Christmas card or something like that. But what I did is these are, most of them are you know, a 1/2 inch, so they fit just perfectly on the ends of your waterfall. And I basically, what I did, because this is 6 inches across, is I basically folded this in half, and then what I did is I just snipped off the end of this, so it's just the smallest snip that there is. And what I ended up doing then is for the bottom one, you know, I left it that size. For the one that goes in the gusset, I made that a little bit smaller. I just trimmed a little bit of that off and used that in the gusset. So that's a good use of your paper from the end of the paper, you know, pattern paper. So the other thing that I ended up doing, I finished that, and I wanted to show you, I just ended up matting the rest of this. So like in the other one, I just put 2 photo mats in here, and then I just put a card here, and of course the photo can go down underneath that. But I thought it just made it look a little bit, just with a little bit more of a personality. And again, this beautiful paper, there's a spot that someone could put a photo up there, and we can put a mat on there, but I would rather not put it on there until we know whether I'm going to put a picture there or not. So then this opens up, and in the other one, I matted 1, 2, 3, but because this had this beautiful paper, I wanted to do that. So I first started with this side. Oh, I'm going to knock everything over here, sorry. There we go. I matted this side. I have a larger photo mat with 2 smaller ones. This is one of the ephemera cards, an ephemera card, and this is just some of the pattern paper. And then on the other side, what I ended up doing was an ephemera card here, 2 smaller, a little bit of a bigger one over here. But what I really did is I put this down so that, because I wanted this writing in here, but I wanted to also have a bigger photo mat, so in case there was some other things with the picture I wanted to leave on. So I just left that open to there. I just glued down over here, and then there's a spot to write about those pictures or whatever's on that page. So that is the inside of that I matted. And again, pictures can go on here, but I don't want to put mats down until I see what kinds of pictures that I have. And I probably honestly would use a black mat on these pages and on this page as well. I used the cream mat because it wasn't so stark on the paper or the the flaps. Oh my gosh. All right, and so I'm just going to tie this up, and then I wanted to show you a couple other things. So on this side, I did add this little booklet over here, and I rounded those corners, rounded the corners on here, and I did it a flip up this time rather than a side by side. I just like the way that this looked a little bit better as a flip up based upon this paper. And so that was an ephemera card, ephemera card, ephemera card, and then this was just some of the other paper. But I thought it made for a really nice flow to that booklet. And the other one, like I said, opened this way, but it had a lot to do with, there was a, I think there was something on the pattern paper up there, but I wanted to make sure to leave the dragonflies very clearly open. And we're gonna talk about the little tabs today, or tonight, and how to do those. The other couple things that I did, and I only did a couple, I decided this time around I wasn't going to put a big book in here. I just wanted to have some photo mats, so I did one like that, and I took one of the ephemera cards and made a small booklet like that, just trying a couple different things for in that pocket. I may even add a booklet yet, just depending upon what I have left, but I just wanted to show you a couple different things that I did. And then in here, on the original design, it actually went this way. The angled pocket went this way. And what I had done is did some fussy cutting, so there was a little pocket on the front and then the big pocket on the back. So I changed it up a little bit this time with angling this pocket, and I put 2 graphic 45 tags in here, and I just used my die cut to cut that out. And for now I'm leaving that blank on the back. I think it'll be fine, unless, depending upon the picture, I may even end up matting that with black back there so that the picture stands out a little bit more. But that gives us a little, some different changes to the book itself. And then this just closes down. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but even right here, I have a kind of a lump in my book from the humidity. So what we're gonna work on tonight is this front cover, as well as the back stand. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the doodads. So let's start with those, and then we'll go with the other items. So I made a couple of the doodads already. You can see they're drying here. They're not completely dry, but just going to show you how I make those. And I punch out, this is a circle that is 5/8 inch. And what I usually do is, you can see that this is one of the papers that was an angled paper. I might not have much to do with it, so I'm using it for my pieces to make my little dots with. So this is the black base, and then I take a 1/2 inch punch as well, And I usually try to find something that's a little bit more colorful, or a flower or a leaf. So I think I'm going to take this like that, and I'm going to turn that over. So it has just a little bit more life to it. And then what I do is quite simply glue that little piece of paper. Sometimes I distress them with the vintage photo, sometimes I don't, and I'm not with this one. And then I just try to get it angled on here, very nice and centered. Put a little bit too much glue on there. So, and then once I've got that onto the base, ooh, that one's sticking. Sometimes that happens, and I gently just continue to work them across. This was my first one, and I had a little bit of a, as I would say, a little bit of a smuts on there. So, so now we have that all together, because basically what we're actually going to do on the ends of the ribbon is we will glue these together like that with the ribbon inside. And you can angle your ribbon on the edges, or you can make the edge of the ribbon like a diamond, and it would maybe work better for fitting around it so no edges hang out. Really what works best for you is kind of what you want to do. So for the shiny part of this, I use my glossy accents, and my bottle is getting down low. But I've tried a couple different ways with this. I've tried where I put next to nothing on it. I've tried it so that I put a whole bunch on there so it mounted real nice. And I think that really what I found the best way to do it is I put, this might take a moment or two to get this to come out, so apologize for that. Here we go. So what I try to do is start off with a little bit of a mound like that, and then I use my bottle, a bottle or a pinhead. I tend to use the bottle because if I see that I'm really getting low on the glossy accents on my little dot, I just tend to, I start moving it out, and I don't know, it's like one of those, well, have you ever frosted a cookie? So it's kind of like that, where if you break the border of the glossy accents, it'll continue to run off the dot. If you don't break the border of it, like I'm stuck here, so I just want to be careful because I don't want to pull it out. It'll make it kind of a nice little rounded top. The other thing that happens though sometimes is there's little dots, air holes, and I just go in with my pin and I just poke those dots or air bubbles and pop them. And sometimes you're just not going to get a perfect one, but most of the time they come out pretty nice, and they just make a really nice accent on the end of your ribbons. Plus, the one thing that I dislike more than anything is a fraying ribbon, and I don't like to put a knot at the end of it. So I've either done this or I've used fray check on the end of my ribbons because I just don't like that fraying, or that just makes it look like it's getting ruined. So I have this board that I usually do them on, or I even will take a scrap piece of paper or something, or even like this, and I'll do them along there and very carefully lift it off onto the shelf. And this, I probably did these now, I'd say about an hour ago. So you can see they're already starting to dry, but they'll be milky on top, and then they'll be clear as they dry. So I have 2 ribbons in there where I've tied off items. So I'm going to need 8 of these, gluing them back to back together. I'm not going to have any dry tonight to show you how to glue it back to back, but I'm sure you can do that yourself. It's not rocket science. So the other thing that I want to start working on is the cover. And some of the things that I did ahead of time was I tried to get the frame ready. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I did the frame. And I also got some other of the chipboard pieces ready. And so I'll talk about those as I go. And I think what I would like to do is start off with, you can see, let me grab my other book because I want to show you what I'm talking about. So on the back of this book is this frame, or this stand. So the piece that we're going to work on next is this piece here. And quite honestly, this can be as big as you want it to be. I ended up making this a little bit thicker so that this would stand up against that. And I have my magnet in here. Now, this piece, when I was making it, I didn't realize, I figured that I thought it might stay all on its own by having a magnet in there and then going up against that, or I didn't have this on there to begin with, and it kept sliding up on me. So that's why I put this little booklet, or it's a ephemera tag there, and it helped to hold all the rest of this. So that's part of what we're going to be working on. And what I did with that is I didn't have any thick chipboard with me other than one piece or two, so I glued 3 of the really thin chipboard or cereal boxes. You can do as well. And the chipboard itself is 3 by 4, I believe. Yeah, this piece is 3 by 4. And so what I did then is I just gave it enough room around there, because on the back of here, or the front, it's really going to be the front, we're going to end up putting one of these ephemera cards on there. So what I do with a lot of times with covering my chipboard, I use my art glitter glue. It's not something that this is being covered over. It's not necessarily something that's going to get knocked around a lot, but the art glitter glue works really well, and it gives me a smooth enough finish. So that's what I'm going to do. So once you've got all of that done, then we're going to do just like what we do with the covers. We're just going to cut through here, these edges, because we're going to do a cover over this chipboard, and the back of this is just going to remain open. You can cover it if you want to, but it's going to be glued to the back of the book, so we won't have to worry about that. And then just to make sure that I have clean edges on this, I'm going to go around, because I still want to have the clean edges as I go. And yes, some of the sides are a little bit wider than other ones, and it doesn't really matter, because again, no one's going to even see it, what's on the back. So how is everybody else enjoying their summer weather? We've been having some pretty good weather, other than the humidity has been terrible. And with the humidity up here, we don't have an air conditioner, so it's always, we just leave the cottage shut up because it's on a cement base, and we just have a small basement, but we don't have anything too large. So it keeps the cottage pretty cool when if we are leaving it closed and then just opening it up when the night gets, it gets much cooler out. So where is my You know, here I tried to clean up my desk before I came on here, and so that's why I can't find anything. All right, so then let's just go like this. So we're going to start getting just things ready to go to kind of put together and finish everything off. I hope everybody got a chance to see the wonderful projects and pictures and everything from the retreat, the Country Craft Creations retreat in Las Vegas. I have to tell you that Tamara does such a great job with those retreats. They're just unlike anything else. She makes you feel special. She always has great projects for you to do, and it's so worth the time, it's so worth the money, and if you ever have an opportunity to do a retreat, you should really try it. You really will love it. The first retreat that I ever went to was actually the cruise last year, and we were on a 10-day cruise to New England and Canada. And I didn't go on the cruise to do necessarily a lot of sightseeing, but I wanted to be able to just have that time to craft. And actually it was my first cruise that I ever went on too. So I went with a girlfriend, and we kind of, crafted together, but we also did our own thing. She wanted to do some sightseeing that I didn't really want, so when you're on a cruise ship, it works pretty well. So this is our ephemera card, and I'm just going to go ahead and I will be putting that on here. I'm going to distress the edges of that. So this ephemera card, actually I'm going to correct that now. If my base, my chipboard, actually was 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. I apologize. I put 1/8 of an inch on there because this was 3 by 4, and I wanted to have some of that black edge around it. So I apologize. This is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And if you have, the medium weight or thicker chipboard, you only need one piece of that size. Like I said, I glued a few together so that I had a bigger, I wanted to make sure I had a ridge for my flap. Okay. I so admire those crafters. I watch crafters all the time that they just always seem to have those borders and edges perfect with their ephemera cards, and when they're matting something. That one's not too bad, but man, I wish I could do it as even as some of the crafters do. So there, we'll put that off to the side because that'll be our little mat for the back of the book.